the real reason why you can't understand fast Portuguese. For example, olá, tudo bem? Então, como é que foi o teu fim de semana? Fizeste muitas coisas? Foste sair ou ficaste em casa a ver uma série? Olha, eu tive um fim de semana excelente. Estive com a minha família, fomos à praia, porque este fim de semana, pela primeira vez, teve assim uma temperatura muito boa. Então convidei a minha mãe e eu e o meu marido fomos à praia. Vamos a uma praia que fica ali para Sintra. É muito boa, tens de ir. Vou-te recomendar, vou-te mostrar exatamente onde é. E podes ir lá, que é muito boa. Tem inclusivamente restaurantes lá perto. E embora haja muitos turistas lá, não fica assim muito cheia. Probably you're like, oh, Sara, wait. Are you starting this video with Portuguese? That's too fast. Hold on. If this was very difficult for you to understand because of the speed, I get you. And I know that sometimes learning a language is overwhelming. But I know that you have been doing a lot of things, right? Because you really want to learn Portuguese. For example, you downloaded apps, maybe Duolingo or other app, maybe a specific app to learn Portuguese, European Portuguese. Maybe you took classes, you enrolled in courses. For example, when I was teaching in a language school, like in actual school, like people go there, not online. Each intensive course, 40 hours, it was 400 euros for 1 month. An intensive course, going there every single day. This is a lot of money. 1 month, 400 euros. And people did that intensive courses for 1 through 3 months in a row. That's a lot. Not only a lot of money, but a lot of energy. It's a lot that you are investing in Portuguese. And you even tried to watch Netflix in Portuguese. Portuguese series, a Portuguese movie, Portuguese TV show. And you started absorbing the language. You started trying to understand what they are saying. But then you realize that your success, your level of understanding is not as you expected. And you're not evolving, you're not increasing your level of listening comprehension the way you thought that you would. You realize that when you are in a conversation with a real Portuguese, you can't understand what they are saying. When you are in a group of friends with other Portuguese and they are talking about something, it's so fast that you can't even think about something to say. You want to join the conversation, but you can't understand what they are saying in the speed that they are understanding each other. Maybe you want to go to a cafe, restaurant, loja. You want to go somewhere and buy things and you want to say, queria café, se faz favor. You want to order in Portuguese and you realize that they understand what you just said, but then they reply back, right? They ask you something about your order. Okay, you want a coffee, but how do you want your coffee? And then you don't understand because they speak too fast. They don't pronounce things the way that you were expecting. And they're like, oh, what did they say? Sorry, pode repetir? Can you repeat? And you're like, you get nervous, you get frustrated, get confused, because things don't happen the way that you thought it would, okay? Because they speak fast and they eat words, they eat letters and sounds. So let's talk about what and why this happens, what it is the way it is. And what's the way? What can you do? What will you actually do to finally understand native Portuguese, even if they speak fast? even if they don't pronounce the way your teacher pronounces, or they don't pronounce that well like your textbook audios, right? So the truth is that traditional methods don't work. And I have something here to show you. This is my English textbook. When I was about 17 years old, this was the textbook that we used in class. I'm a Portuguese native speaker. Olá, I'm Sara. And so I didn't learn Portuguese the way that you're learning because I'm native, but I did it with English. And basically the way people learn languages is the same no matter the language. What do they tell you? Oh, you have to memorize vocabulary, right? You have to study grammar and you have to do grammar drills. You need to practice speaking with other learners. You need to write, you need to read. This that you see here for me, this is the not personification, but this represents torture for me. Okay, I don't have good memories for different reasons. Not only, and the main reason was because my teacher wasn't that nice. Every single student in my class was very good at English, amazing grades, but I wasn't that kind of student. You know, people say, Portuguese speak English so well, they're very good. Well, I wasn't that kind of person when I was younger. And I realized during classes that my teacher didn't like me because of this. And she didn't have patience. Ela não tinha paciência. By the way, she was Portuguese, not English, not American, not Australian. But not having patience is nothing related to the nationality of the person. Okay, there are good and bad people and so people anywhere. So when I open this, yes, I can find here some listening exercises, but basically listening exercises here, not just in this textbook, but in textbooks in general, are kind of boring. Basically, you listen to something and then you do exercises like true or false exercises. You answer some questions, basically that. But you see, the material that we use in classes, in traditional classes, are written materials. But real life, when you want to have a conversation with someone, face to face, you don't have something written down. You have sounds, right? And if you don't focus on practicing and learning how the spoken language actually is, then you won't be prepared for the real world. So when I open this book, I see texts to read, something to read, right? And also, one of the most boring ones for me, fill in the blanks exercises. Sometimes to fill in the blanks according to the text, sometimes fill in the blanks with grammar exercises. And here we have, for example, the grammar explanation, the grammar part of it. It says, you see? C, grammar. Oh my god. And here, reading comprehension. Oh my god. Grammar, more practice, and then film review. This was kind of cool. Lost in translation. This was better. But you see, exercises, more reading comprehension, pronunciation, vocabulary extension, more grammar, another text, and where is listening? I don't see it. Reading comprehension, vocabulary, you see? Vocabulary, dictionary skills, what else? More grammar, more grammar, right? Multilingual, more English only. Yes, more writing. Oh, finally one. Listening comprehension. You know, this tiny bit on B. So you see, traditional books focus on reading, on writing, on vocabulary, on grammar, not on listening. So if the main thing that you do is related to grammar, vocabulary, reading and writing, that's the things that you will know better or best, right? Not listening. If you think 1 + 1 is 2, right? Maybe you've been studying in a kind of automatic way. Someone told you to do this way, so you do it. But you need to own your language learning. You need to know why you are learning the way that you are learning. Right? So think, if you are just focusing on writing, on reading, and not on listening, you will be better at, as the French say, voila, at reading and writing, not listening. So traditionally, and especially if you learned languages in school, like I did, or if you were attending classes in a language school, this is how they do it. You have the book, and this is it. Not very focused on listening. And the audios, the content, the listening content on this kind of material are the ones made for you to understand, made specifically for you. It's artificial, it's not real life. So in this kind of audios, by the way, I don't have the audios, the CD, but at that time it was a CD when I was in school. I don't think I have anything here like about audios. Maybe just the teacher had audios, which is actually bad because you need to listen to them as much as possible at home. Okay, if you do your homework at home, if you do your homework like filling in the blank exercises, that kind of exercise you should be able to also practice and do your homework, but with listening exercises, right? Practicing. So you need to listen. And if material for you learning a foreign language is a material, especially the listening part that we are talking about here, is something that you listen and it's artificial, because these are professionals, right? They are not going to record audio just like that. They want to record it well. So what do? They go to a studio. And the studio is like a lab, it's not real life. And they hire professionals. Their job is to record audios for language courses, for commercials. So people that are professionals doing this. And audio will come out very good, right? And very well enunciated. If you are a native English speaker, just by curiosity, try to search for a material made for foreigners to learn English, and you will realize how artificial this content actually is, because they speak in a way that they will understand. Right? But if you take an audio from someone, for example, an interview, the reporter, the journalist wants to interview someone for the news, for example, they will speak normally. And by normally, I mean the way people speak in daily life. You go to the grocery store, you go to shopping center, you want to talk with your in-laws, that if your in-laws are Portuguese, you have a Portuguese friend. Like these real people from the real world, they are not going to speak like those professionals that go to a studio and record an audio. And they were taught, because it's their job, right? They were taught how to pronounce things correctly and how to project the voice, everything very clear, very perfect. So, what do you need is to start as soon as possible absorbing the language with real life content, material things, audios, videos, everything that was made by Portuguese to Portuguese. Okay? And you need to find the right content for you to listen. So, for example, what I do to my students is I guide them, because as a Portuguese native speaker who was born and has been living in Portugal since like all my life, I know what kind of content I can recommend them, because you may say, oh, but everything that I find online is Brazilian Portuguese. Well, I am Portuguese and I want to listen to a Portuguese podcast from Portuguese. I want to watch the news in Portuguese, European Portuguese. I want to do listen and do any kind of thing in European Portuguese. So exists, there are this content in European Portuguese that you can use to train your ear. For example, I have a student of mine and now he is making a new house, new home. Está a fazer uma casa nova. And so he needs to deal with everything about construction, housing, and he needs to know more vocabulary about this very topic, because he wants to, for example, change the kitchen, or like he needs to buy rocks and he needs to buy things to make the house, right? So he was telling me that now there's something that he needs, and he needs to learn this specific vocabulary, because he's making a house. Está a fazer uma casa. That's how he say it. So there's a lot of things a lot of specific vocabulary about it, about pedras, rocks, about furniture, mobilia. He needs to buy the furniture for the house. He needs to talk with engineers, with architects about how to make the house. All about this. Before, he didn't need to know the specific vocabulary. But now that he is making, fazer uma casa em Portugal, and a house in Portugal, he needs to know the specific vocabulary. So I asked him, oh, Jeffrey, do you want me to send some specific things, content about this? And he said, oh, yes, please. And what did I send him? There was a TV show in Portugal, and they have website and they have YouTube channel, which is Querido Mudei a Casa. Querido Mudei a Casa, which means, darling, I changed the house. I changed the home. I changed house. And it's this show was a TV show, and there was a team, and they went to different houses to make adjustments, to change. For example, oh, I have a room, my bathroom is small, but then I have another bedroom, and my brother used to be there, but now he moved to a different house, and now I want to break that wall and I want to have a bigger bathroom with a closet. Can you help me? Can you do that for me? And this team goes there and they record everything that they do, and it turns out that the project being the room and everything gets very, very beautiful. So I sent this to him, and it's in Portugal, it's in European Portuguese, so he has the chance to learn the specific vocabulary. For example, the video starts with the lady or the gentleman, and they say what they are what they want for their house, what they want the team from the TV show to do in their house. And they explain what they want, which is very useful if you want to explain what you want to do in your house. And on YouTube, they have a video, different videos, but they record the place, and they put the name of each thing that is there, the chair, the bed, the name of the thing, and then the name where they bought it. So it's very good to learn vocabulary as well. So I sent this to him. It's real life content. It's made for Portuguese to Portuguese, and now he has the chance to learn the things that he needs to learn to build his construir a sua própria casa. Construir, to build. So you see, if you are stick to written things, you will learn how to read, and you will read well, and you will understand. But why did I send to my student this TV show where they speak and they say what they want to do in the house, the construction things? Because it's spoken language. If you want to live in spoken language world, you need to focus on this, okay? The spoken language with content that it's meaningful for you, content that you want, content that you need to learn, not something random that people put in a textbook and they say, oh, this is what you need to learn. And then you see, oh, maybe it's not something that I need. It's not actually according to my needs. For example, like in the beginner levels, they give you a list of jobs. Do you really need to know all of that? Are you really going to use that? Maybe you will just need to learn 3, like maybe your own job, your own profession, maybe your husband's wife profession, or maybe one more, and that's it. So there's also that you need to take in consideration. So think about the listening. If you have someone to guide you in terms of telling you, oh, you need to train your ear and you need to do this way, this way, this way, this way, it will be so much better for you to have this guidance, right? Someone that finally tells you that written Portuguese is not the same as spoken Portuguese. Because not. That's why you may understand written Portuguese and not spoken Portuguese. An example, there are some letters, for example, the letter X, that, well, it's just one letter, right? But in Portuguese, we can pronounce it in very different ways. And how do you know when the X is X, when is S, when is Sh? There are different ways. Portuguese is not transparent. What does this mean? It means that we write a symbol, for example, X, and that symbol may represent different sounds, not just one. And sometimes different sounds can be just one sound can be represented with different symbols. Right? For example, the word in English, enough. It has the sound, right? Enough. But we don't write with an F. It's with GH, right? Enough. There's no F there, but the sound is F, right? So when I talk about being transparent, is this. In Portuguese is not 100% transparent. 100% transparent will be Spanish, for example, because we have just one sound and just one way, one symbol to represent it. But in Portuguese, sometimes we have one syllable and different ways to pronounce it. Or one sound and different ways to write that same sound. That's why written Portuguese is not the same as spoken Portuguese. And for that reason, if you are stick to written Portuguese, you won't understand spoken Portuguese, spoken real life. Well, if you are interested in this topic and if you realize that this is the missing piece for you to finally have a conversation, successful conversation with a Portuguese, and if you understand what I say and it clicked to you, then you are in the right place. This is not just for any person learning Portuguese. This is for, first, the learners that have been learning for a while and they already realize that, oh, I learn X, but when in the real world it's not X, it's Y. You already realize that the Portuguese actually speak is different from your teacher, from your textbook, and there's no match. You already understood that the Portuguese that you have been learning is artificial. It's like the pretty one, very well enunciated, but then when you go to real life, they speak like and if you already realize this and you want to go to the next level and you want to finally put into practice all the grammar, all the vocabulary that you have been learning, because I know that a lot of people put so much focus on vocabulary, grammar, and speaking, right? Speaking. But if you don't listen, you can't speak well. Speaking and listening go together. And actually, instead of focusing, oh, I have to speak, I have to practice speaking, let me search online about speaking Portuguese. Instead of this, focus on listening, because you can say something that you didn't listen before. Okay? Learning a language is much more listening than anything else. So if right now you change just this, you start in anything that you do to learn Portuguese, you start focusing on listening, your Portuguese will improve so much and so much faster. Okay? You will be exactly listening how the Portuguese speak in the real world. Listening content. Okay? And you see, if you learn grammar and vocabulary and everything, but you can't understand what Portuguese are saying, what the hell are you going to say? Nothing. You say, like the example that I said right in the beginning. You say, queria café, se faz favor. Queria café, se faz favor. You order a coffee. And then they ask you something back. For example, café cheio ou café curto? What kind of coffee do you want, right? Café cheio or café curto? Actually, I have this one. It's not for coffee, but I use it for coffee. Café cheio, full, or café curto? What kind of coffee do you want? Then you don't understand what they are saying. If you don't understand what they're saying, how are you going to say something? You cannot have a conversation with someone if you don't understand what the other person is saying. That's why listening is so much more important than speaking. And now you tell me, oh, Sara, but the Portuguese speaks fast. Oh, Sara, they swallow, they eat letters, they don't pronounce everything. They do things how do I practice listening? How do I train my ear to the real life Portuguese? Well, because I have heard this people telling me that they have this issue so many times that I decided to do a full course with everything that you need to train your ear and to learn the patterns Because when the Portuguese, you know, they don't pronounce everything. They cut sounds, they cut words, they swallow letters. They do it with a pattern. It's not random. If you think that Brazilian Portuguese is way more easier to understand than the Portuguese, well, that's actually true. But if you learn exactly what's happening that makes European Portuguese more complicated to understand than Brazilian Portuguese, you will finally understand them. Problem solved. Problem solved. And that's why I created the Understand the Portuguese course, which the goal is exactly help you understand the Portuguese. And I have there everything that you need to know to understand what happens with the Portuguese. I explain in much more detail what I just did, and all the sounds that are eaten that we don't pronounce, when and why, all the vowels, the consonants, what happens with questions, because there's a specific pattern with questions that makes the Portuguese sound weird. For example, instead of por que é que não vais à praia? Por que é que? Why is that? In written Portuguese is por que é que. But in spoken Portuguese is porquê que. Not porque é que. Written down is porque é que. In the real world, porquê que. Porquê que, como é que, quem é que, quanto é que, quando é que. All of these patterns are in detail with a lot of sentences where I pronounce so many times the sentences, and for each, for example, for the questions, you have an audio. You can listen directly in the platform. You can also download the audios for example, specifically for A, an audio with a lot of sentences for E, an audio with a lot of sentences for S, and you can practice this as many times as you want, because you can watch the classes anytime, anywhere, okay? And you have the class, and below you have the comment section where you can express your feelings. Oh, Sara, thanks for your explanation. Finally, I understood it. Or Sara, it's not that clear yet. Can you explain to me again? So you can write there your feelings and your questions about the classes. And it's very interactive. I'm there. I'm explaining. And before giving you the explanation, I say, I'll read this sentence. How do you think the Portuguese are going to pronounce it? Okay, great. Now my turn. Let me show you how I would pronounce it fast as a Portuguese native speaker. Quando é que vais à praia? Quando é que vais à praia? Repeat after me. Quando é que vais à praia? And with detailed explanations for you to finally understand what happens when the Portuguese speak. And if you train your listening, you will also improve your speaking, because you will speak in a more natural way. You'll speak more like the natives. So you have there a bunch of sentences with all the situations where the Portuguese change the sounds, when we link words together and the sound changes, when we drop letters and we don't pronounce them. You have a lot of sentences and classes there. And one of the greatest things about this course is that the classes are short. So if you don't have time, you feel overwhelmed with so many things that you have to do. You have kids, you have to take care of your house, you have to take care of yourself, you need to work, right? You have a job, you have so many things to do. And if it's 1 hour class, maybe it's too much. Every single day, 1 hour, it's long time, right? But if you have 15 minutes a day, it will be so much enjoyable, so much easier, and you won't feel that weight on you, like, oh, I know that I have to study, but I'm so tired and I don't have time. It's 1 hour long class. No, my classes are 15 minutes, 15, 16, 20, no more than that. So every day you can do a little bit and you can improve your Portuguese, right? So right now, if you're watching this, this video is going to be posted on a Saturday. And this Saturday, my online course is still on its early bird. And early bird means if you are the first buying it, you can buy it with for a lower price. So because it's a very complete course with everything that you need to learn, not only the explanations but also exercises. It's so complete with so like the juice of it. It's 397 euros. It's the course that will transform your life, because after this you finally understand the Portuguese and you will finally be able to have a life in Portugal with Portuguese, understanding them, and that's amazing. So 397, but now it's an early bird. It's for 197 euros.